Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the National Jazz Museum in Harlem. Thank you for those of us who are joining us online. My name is Liany Mateo. I am the Education and Production Specialist here at the National Jazz Museum in Harlem. And on behalf of our Executive Director, Tracy Hyder-Suffern, and our Programming Director, Ryan Maloney, we'd love to welcome you guys here to National Jazz Museum. For those of you that are here, quick show of hands. I always do this. Who is here for the first time? Awesome. Well, welcome, guys. And as our executive director, Tracy, always says, welcome home. This is your home. Feel free to come on back, tell your friends. For those of us, again, joining us online, this is our Harlem Speaks series. This is our 10th, I believe, year, or even more, most likely, that we are doing this. This is one of our longest running series here at the National Jazz Museum in Harlem. And this year, or this calendar year, we are going to be concluding it with one of our very own Jazz Is Now Curatorial Fellows. You've seen her curate multiple events here at the National Jazz Museum in Harlem with her own quintet, with wonderful groups that have come here in the past as well. And she's an amazing bassist and person on her own right. And I won't do much more introduction because I'm going to leave that to the actual professionals. But without further ado, I'd love to introduce our Jazz Is Now 2024 Curatorial Fellow, Liany Mateo, and our interviewer, Talia Castro-Pozo.
Hello, everyone. All right. So once again, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to Harlem Speaks, the museum, the National Jazz Museum of Harlem's longest running series, where we're going to dive deep into the lives and careers of the most captivating jazz legends in the world and the rising stars. Tonight we have an amazing rising stars, and we're very grateful for the funds for this, to create this public programming by Humanities New York. So thank you to Humanities New York for making this possible, and to your audience and all our friends all over the world that are watching this. Thanks to social media on this November 6th, 2024. It was hard to get here today. You know, New Yorkers were a little blue today. Some of us are a little blue, and we'll talk about it later. But it's wonderful to be here. And please, let's give another warm welcome to Liany Mateo, this amazing bassist, and also Curator Fellow for the National Jazz Museum of Harlem. So you'll find a lot of amazing things that you're doing with the museum. How are you, Liany, today?
You know, I'm here today, and I'm very, very happy to be here today, and I'm very happy that you all are here today, so thank you.
Yes, thank you for being here. And I guess we should start with, you know, it's a wonderful opportunity to get to know your work, to get to know you better today with your early days, you know, the little baby Liany running around, right, in Jersey City. You grew up, you were born here, and your mother from the Dominican Republic, your dad from Guyana, so all that amazing music playing in the house, right? Do you have early memories of that, and how your interest in music grows through I guess, your household exposure?
Yeah, absolutely. I always tell people I didn't start playing music until I was 13, which is very late for a lot of people. I think most people start taking at least piano classes when they're like 6, or maybe play their first instrument when they're about 8 or 9. But I didn't play any instrument until I was 13. But I think growing up in a household where music served as a communal experience really taught me more about music than learning my scales or you know, learning how to hold my instrument right away. Music really was a vehicle to bring people together and to mourn and to clean the house. And it was just always playing in the house. Like, you know, we all have Saturday mornings, right? Your mom's knocking at your door and she's playing merengue and bachata. And then, you know, my dad from Guyana, like and he's Indo-Guyanese, there was a lot of Indo-Caribbean music. We would go to like barbecues and people would be dancing dance hall and soca and reggae, and like, you know, it was like a really full and rich appreciation for the diasporic sound, because also the neighborhood I grew up in Jersey City on the south side, Greenville, is predominantly a Black American, Black Caribbean neighborhood. So all my friends, including myself, were all first generation American, and we all knew each other's music, right? Like you go to school and you know Jersey club music, like classic Jersey club music. you know, the Temptations, you know, Diana Ross, because so-and-so's parents are playing it in the house and you're going over to their house. So I think having that experience as a young person really taught me that, you know, music, again, is just communal. Like, I can play music, I can present it to other people, but at the end of the day, it functions to bring people together and to make people dance. That was like a very core thing. We talked about it a little bit backstage, but I was very shy as a kid, so I would never want to dance. Like, every party growing up was a dance party. You know, your a 3-year-old's birthday party becomes a dance floor at 1 a.m., you know? And even throughout high school, I went to a performing arts high school, and people were always dancing. And it wasn't until I went to college where I realized that people would call parties where people weren't dancing parties, and I didn't understand that because every party just meant dancing to me. So to go to a party where people are just kind of chilling was very new, and I realized, like, oh, like, this is just like a value and a certain type of experience with music, with community that I feel very lucky to grow up in, and it's a very special experience that I think really shaped everything that I do and value now.
For sure, it planted the seed of music, I guess, right?
Yeah.
How do you get, I guess, in elementary school, right? You started when you were 12, so that would be what grade?
Like 7th grade.
7th grade.
Yeah.
So how does it work? What happened in 7th grade? You said you had to take music, I guess.
You know, I kind of told my parents I had to take music. I knew I was going to be a creative kid. I was always a creative kid, like a little weird, you know, just like always like kind of interested in like art stuff or artsy stuff. And in 7th grade, a performing arts high school opened up in Jersey City. And I told my parents, like, I really want to apply. I don't know anything about the arts, but I really, really want to go. And something just was calling me to go. So they put me a guitar class on my first day. And I told the teacher on the first day, I have no interest in playing guitar.
Oh, you didn't feel it, huh?
No, I knew I wanted to play bass because all the bands, I liked a lot of rock bands. So all the bands that I liked, my favorite people were always the bass players. So yeah, and that's kind of how it started. I kind of forced my way.
You had a
there.
vision. You're like, I want to play the bass player, because most people have to play it. It's such a big instrument, right? That you're like, I'm going to spend my life with this instrument. That's great. So you were ready and ready to really take it on.
Yeah, I saw in that guitar class, my teacher played a video of the incredible and legendary guitarist Wes Montgomery, and I was not paying attention to Wes Montgomery. I was paying attention to the upright bassist in the back. And at that point, I had never even seen an upright bass. I wanted to play electric bass. And I was playing electric bass at that point, like I had just started. And I'm like, oh, that's really what I want to play. So it was like really innate. You know, I see it, I'm like, oh, like I like the shape, I like the sound. And I kind of like that I could hide behind it. You know, because I still have that shyness. I think every bass player kind of has that enjoyment of working in the background. So
wow,
yeah.
That's so cool. So now you graduate from high school, and what level? How were you playing by that time? Do you remember? Like, were you already thinking about this could be something that I can do professionally, or were you there?
It was something I wanted to do professionally.
Okay.
I don't think I was like at a point where I could.
Okay.
But that's why, you know, you go to school and you train. And in high school, I did a bunch of jazz camps. So you're, you know, somewhere in the middle of the country for a week and you're meeting musicians. And many times those musicians are running jazz programs in college. So at that point, I met the bassist Whitaker, who has been the head of the Michigan State Jazz Department. And he really took me under his wing, and he told me, you know, you could really do this if you wanted to, and I have a school in Michigan that you should really check out. My answer to him was, where is Michigan? Because I had never really, you know, like being kind of like a New Jersey, New York kid, you don't really think about other states. Yeah, you're like, Michigan, my parents still don't know where that is.
Right, exactly.
And that's where I ended up going to school for college, and, you know, I got my training from him. I studied with him for 4 years, and it was great. I met some of my best friends in the world there, and I played a lot. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it just kind of organically happened, right? It feels like it was just, you got a mentor, you had the talent, you were driven, you rehearsed. I'm sure you were practicing crazy hours. Yeah? Yeah, I mean, that's pretty amazing, you know, at such a young age. I mean, you're still very young. You're only, what, 25?
26.
26, all right. She's getting up there.
You know.
Wow. And tell us about now you get to Michigan State University, and how is it? How is being there for music and being, you know, in a more, I guess everybody's taking it more seriously, right? It's the next level, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was, well, one, it was a culture shock because I was at a predominantly white institution and I didn't grow up that way. You know, my neighborhood in Jersey City, again, was like all first generation American students and very Caribbean, very West Indian, Black American, you know, like Middle Eastern. You know, it was very, very diverse. And I think going to that school was kind of just a culture shock of just that. I think my parents didn't really drive for most of my life. So now all of a sudden I'm in the middle of the country and they don't have sidewalks. And that was like really confusing to me. It's like, oh, you can't walk to the store.
Right. Everybody's driving.
Yeah, everyone's driving and I don't have my license, still don't. But I think I really enjoyed the intensity of, all right, I'm here to practice. In high school, I feel like I worked really hard academically as well as, you know, practicing because I really, really wanted to get out of the situation that I was in, right? I'm the first person in my family to go to college. My dad dropped out of school when he was 14 to cut sugarcane. My parents don't really know much about American college system, so I was really, when I was leaving high school, it was very intentional, right? I knew like I had to get out of this situation. I have to make an opportunity for myself somewhere else and be around people who are gonna help me do that. Rodney being one of those people, my classmates being those people. And, you know, I wasn't really like a partier or anything in college. To be honest, that's not really who I am, but I feel like some of my happiest memories in school was me being in the practice room on like Friday nights, you know, where no one's there, or Sunday nights or Saturday nights, and, you know, taking a dinner break with my friends who were practicing and then going back to practice, talking about music, so.
And you were lucky your parents, because a lot of parents, right, are concerned. It's like, how they're gonna make it as artists? Are you gonna make it a living being a musician? Your parents didn't give you any of that.
You know, I think my parents were just happy that I was going to college.
Right.
I think a lot of people in the arts, as I'm sure you know, people don't really know how it works. So I don't think they really know what I do still, and that's okay. You know, they just see that I'm doing all right. I don't ask them for nothing, right? And that's okay. So.
Yeah, you're making a living as a, you know, professional bassist in New York. Well, all over. We'll get to that. Mm-hmm. So now you also joined the Becoming Quintet, right? Which is, I guess, your first band.
Yeah. Actually, me and Luther Allison, who is one of the other fellows here this year, we started this band in college with a bunch of our friends, and you know, we got to do our first like professional recording, which is really important. So it's like a fun little, you know, snapshot into who I was. That was like 6 years ago now, and when I listened to that recording, I'm like, we all sounded so different even a year from that.
I'm sure.
Yeah, because like, as you know, like that time period, when you're intensely studying, you're gonna sound different 6 months from where you sound now, you know? So it was a good time, and I think we all learned a lot in that process.
Were you also writing the music?
We all took turns writing.
Nice.
It was kind of like co-led.
How fun, right? What a great experience, really, growing as a composer and, you know, as a musician.
Yeah, it was a good time.
You still keep in touch with all of them, and they're in New York, or they,
Yeah, all of us are in New York. Me and Eric, who was a trumpet player on that album, we were neighbors for a year.
Nice.
Luther was just here before, and I just went to his wedding. And today is my friend Zach's birthday, who was the drummer on that record. So, they were really like my closest friends. And
creating community, like you said.
Exactly.
Yeah, wow. And then you decide that you want to do a master's degree at the Berklee Global Jazz Institute in 2021. Mm-hmm. So how does that come about?
How does that come about?
Yes, do you decide I need to keep going with my education, or, you know, because it's a big commitment?
It is a big commitment, and honestly, I was not really sure if I wanted to make it, but something like the pandemic happened, you know, and I was like, well, I'm not really doing anything else this next year, and my professors really urged me to do it, and I'm happy that they did, because I got challenged in a whole different way. The Global Institute focuses a lot more on original composition, as well as social justice as a pillar of their program. So I got to write my thesis, which is about Black women literature, Black feminist literature and music, which kind of, you know, is something that I'm still learning about today and carrying forth. This Sunday, one of my events that I'm curating at the Black Women's Free Library in Brooklyn, we'll be doing that. We'll be talking about Black women lyricists and literature. So it gave me the resources and the time to do that and meet people like Asia Burrell-Wood, who was my mentor there, and Linda Mahon-O. So it was a
Wow,
good
so
experience.
much more depth for you as an artist,
Yeah.
really, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And that, so you went to Michigan on a full scholarship,
Yeah.
right? Impressive. Applause to that,
Oh, yeah.
everybody. Yeah, yeah. And how was it also, what about Berklee? Was that expensive to do, or would you also got help and were invited? What was the process for the Global Jazz Institute?
Yeah, the Jazz Institute works, they take 20 students a year, 10 American students and 10 international students, and it's like a fellowship-based tuition, so it was tuition free, so.
Great,
Yeah.
excellent, wonderful. It's good for artists that are watching. You know, they always ask me, like, how do we make this happen? Is it easy to make it financially as an artist? And I guess if you have the talent, if you work hard, right, and you can, I guess, make it happen, right, one way or another. You find a way, although it's competitive and you are ultra talented.
Oh.
But, you know, we'll talk more about that. So then, if I'm going chronologically correct here, now you meet Arturo O'Farrill.
Yes.
How does that happen?
Okay, so yeah, I graduated graduate school, and now I'm on the road. I've been, you know, those were like kind of my first few weeks. I was traveling for the first time for music. I played with Carl Allen. That was kind of like my first gig out of school, who was like one of my favorite drummers and one of my heroes. He played with Freddie Hubbard, and I think that really kind of set it off for me to, he co-signed me, and I think that kind of set it off for me to play with a lot of older people.
Oh,
Someone
wow,
like that
nice.
says that. And I meet Arturo through Zach O'Farrill, his son, because we were friends, and he told me, oh, you should like kind of audition for this, and I wasn't really sure. But Arturo was so gracious and gave me an audition and offered me the position to be in the band for the year, and it was great. You know, to me that was graduate school, because playing with like people who played with Ray Barretto, you know, who played with the forefathers of that music, and I had no experience, basically, was really like trial by fire. Like every show was something like, I have no idea how to do this. I have to figure it out right now. And so many people in that band functioned as a mentor to me. Like, you know, car rides were playing records for me. This is how you listen to this. And it was never like, you need to learn how to do this because you can't. It's like, oh, like, let me show you something. This would be cool. And that's like that experience basically doesn't happen anymore. Like young people being able to learn from older people in context. So I'm very grateful for my time in that band.
How big is now Arturo's ensemble? How many musicians?
I think it's probably like 18.
Yeah. It's a big, and that was the Legacies. You guys went on to record for Blue Note Records. Yeah, with Legacies. Mm-hmm. So that must have been, you were the baby and all these legends there teaching you and sort of, you know, guiding you. That's amazing. That's so beautiful. Yeah. Do you still keep in touch? Do you still play with Arturo whenever you can?
Yeah, whenever I can, and I'm very close with his family as well, and all the musicians in that band, like, you know, call them or just go see them when I can. Yeah, like he gave me so many gifts, and yeah, playing on a Blue Note record was something that I didn't think I would be able to do for like another 10 or 20 years, and doing it trio too, because I had just joined the band, is very exposing, but you know, he never made me feel like less than, and always treated me like an experienced musician and trusted my judgment and my discretion. And I think having that confidence in me, and also having that confidence in me to mess up, because that's one thing, is like, I also messed up a lot, you know, but you learn, you know, when older people take on that role as a mentor, that's something that they have to grapple with as well. You're gonna hire someone who needs experience. Sometimes it might not be there right away, but the gratification that you get to see them grow is, you know, mutually beneficial.
Yeah.
So
you're so mature. So mature. And you've worked with artists such as musicians like Regina Carter, Geoffrey Keezer, Matthew, Whitaker, Carl Allen, Steve Wilson, Fay Victor, Brandee Younger. I mean, tell us about some of these experiences. Have you toured with them? You recorded with them, both?
Yeah, I've been touring. I've toured with most of those people. A lot of those people have been like bucket list people for me since I was like in high school. Like, I met Regina when I was 17, and she completely changed my life. Like, I saw her play, and she affirmed everything that I wanted to do, you know. And to play with her this past year was a dream come true. And same thing with Steve Wilson. He was someone that I met in college, and I told him, like, I want a career like you. I want a career, you know, side person, has done all types of music, and he has always been so supportive of me. And to me, that's honestly the thing that means the most to me, is when I can play with someone who has that type of experience, like, you know, an elder or someone who is 20 or 10 years my senior who has all this experience, because the tradition of this music is oral and it gets passed down to you. So the best way to learn it is from the person themselves. And yeah, and also again, just like playing with them, you just learn so much. I played with Bertha Hope this year, who was the widow of Elmo Hope, like bebop legend. And I remember playing his music with her and being like, oh, like this is how you do this. Like all that feel, all that language that we try to recreate from the records, this is what it sounds like in person. This is what it feels like. So yeah, when I get to do it with people like Fay, like Mr. Keezer, who played with Ray Brown, like that's the type of stuff that means the most to me.
Wow,
And,
you've been so lucky to have also wonderful people, like good people, great artists, right?
Mhm.
Because sometimes being a woman, being a minority woman in the business, that it's such a male, you know, strong male industry, can be difficult. Have you had any situations that have been very difficult and you feel like you've really were able to overcome, even though you're such a young person, to you know, have to overcome something like this?
Absolutely. I mean, it's just the world that we live in, like inherently, like no matter what field you work in. I have friends who work in STEM who deal with the same things I deal with, that we deal with in our fields. But I feel like very lucky that all the people that you just named, all my mentors, they never made me feel othered because of what made me different. They actually embraced it. And if anything in this music, it's not other at all. Like, I come from a lineage like Mary Lou Williams. I come from a lineage like Jerry Allen. Like, they look like me. I look like them. You know, we are one. We come from the same people. So when other people try to make me feel like a guest in this music, I have to remember that they're actually the guests. Right. And, like, this belongs to us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, well said.
Yeah.
Yes, for the people, for the community. Like we were saying before, you know, this music also creates that community. And it really, I mean, I feel like you've been very lucky also to have some wonderful mentors, right? And and you're very strong, and you're definitely, you know, a great example for the younger generations. So this is great. You've also been featured on PBS television and the show Next at the Kennedy Center with, as a featured artist, introduced as Christian McBride's protege. So tell us about that experience. Wow.
You mean the single greatest moment of my life? Like,
wow.
Yeah, I mean, like, Christian, I call him Unc, like Unc, because I can't call him by his first name. He has been like my hero on the bass, like since I started playing. Like I remember watching videos of him when I was still learning my skills and being like, oh my God, am I ever gonna be able to do that? And and I met him pretty much when I first started playing bass, and he'd always been so supportive to me. When I moved back to New York, he was like one of the first people to reach out to let me know that I'm doing well, and you know, always throws my name out there. So when that happened, to have like an endorsement and a cosign by basically, you know, like one of the greatest innovators on your instrument, it's like, yeah, like I don't think anything is really gonna top that. A lot of insecurities that I have about my playing, I'm just like, well, it don't matter because he messes with me, you know, and that means a whole lot. And I'm humbled by that also because, you know, I take that very seriously. When someone puts your name in a room, they also put their name attached to yours, and you have to hold that with respect, with humility, and pride. And I hope that in the future, like how he is a great speaker, a great supporter of people, a great musician, that I can keep the torch as well.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you have all the ingredients to take your artistry, you know, at a much higher standard, because again, you're so young, so you're only starting. This is just the beginning, right? Wow. Where do you see yourself in the next 5, 10 years?
Okay. In the next 5 or 10 years, well, there's a lifestyle, right? I just want to be able to play bass, go out to museums, go to dinner with friends, go to the movies, enjoy life. On a professional level, I have like a list of people that I would love to play with: Diane Reeves, Kenny Garrett, Cecile McLaurin-Salvant.
We're putting it out there to the universe
exactly.
right now. Yes.
And so many more. And then I would also love to do more artistic directing, curation, like as I've been doing at the museum this past year, to put events together, to give people opportunities to say what they want to say, and also for me to have a mission. When I started my curation here, I wrote a mission statement to myself of what values do I have that I want this residency to look like. I want to put artists on that represent the diaspora of music, right? The diaspora of this music, because jazz is diasporic music, right? It is American, but it also exists in South America, the Caribbean, West Africa, and I wanted artists that are going to showcase that. My other interests, such as literature and film, like my 2 events this week, are something that I'm really interested in doing more of, whatever that, whatever door opens up to do more of that stuff. So yeah, like following in the steps of Mr. McBride and Jason Moran, and also like great thinkers like Farrah Jasmine Griffin and Asia Burrell Wood, who I love reading all their writing and what they have to say and the work that they're doing in the music.
Nice. Now tell us more about your film, Love, and your literature. So the film you're doing is a documentary, right, that you put together?
Yes, I'm presenting a Thelonious Monk documentary called Rewind and Play that is by Alain Gomez, a Senegalese French director. And it's, if you all are available, anyone on the live stream, hey, it'll be at the Maisels Documentary Center this Friday at 7 p.m. It's a really well done documentary. It's almost like an art house film in terms of how the film is put together. It's about how he went to France once and he got interviewed by a French journalist, and how uncomfortable it really was for him to be traveling at Europe at that time and to be treated the way he was even as a musician, which I think says a lot about the times that he lived in, the times that we live at now. And I'll be doing a Q&A session with the one and only Isaiah J. Thompson, who I think really walks in that legacy that Monk had. So, yeah.
Wow, very nice. And your literature project?
Yeah, the literature project will be with the Free Black Women's Library in Brooklyn. They're kind of like half the size of the museum, but they are strong and mighty. They focus on literature written by Black women, whether that be fiction, nonfiction, and they hold events all throughout the year. And this event will be about Black women lyricists, so writers in another vein. And I'll have Sharnay Wade, Melvis Santa, and Jillian Grace, and we'll be talking about Abby Lincoln, we'll be talking about Billie Holiday, and their influence on the music as lyricists and the power that words have in music. So.
And when is that? Please invite everybody.
Oh, it's on Sunday.
Sunday.
3 to
Wow,
5
so you're
p.m.
busy this week, huh?
I am. It's in Bed-Stuy, though, so I know Harlem people.
We can go to Brooklyn once
If y'all
want to
take the J.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Take the train. Take the train. Take the A train.
Yeah.
You also, in 2023, won the esteemed Next Jazz Legacy Award and grant through the New Music USA, led by Terri Lyne Carrington. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so that project is really special. Terri Lyne Carrington has been doing a grant where they select 5 to 6 musicians that are in the gender minority of this music, and they get funding, but they also get something that we were talking about earlier, is apprenticeships, mentorships like playing and learning on the bandstand, as well as artistic mentorships and business mentors as well. So I got really lucky. I got paired up with Sunny Sumter as my business mentor, who is the artistic director of the DC Jazz Fest. Completely life-changing to be in touch with her and talk about these struggles of, being in my industry, being young, and how people might take advantage of that, right? My apprenticeship has been with Regina Carter, so playing performances with her. And then my artistic mentorship has been with Christian McBride. So I got to shadow him at the Newport Jazz Fest 2 years ago and kind of ride around in his little golf cart as he introduces bands and kind of learn this whole thing of how to host and, be a guest also, as he's very good at doing.
A great experience.
Yeah.
Now, I have a question. As a musician, do you freelance with an agent or a manager? Do you have an agent? Do you have a manager? You do this through connections, like you said, just meeting people and knowing artists?
Yeah, kind of a combination, Okay. I think, and this is what I tell students too, is the best calling card in this industry is like your reputation. So I feel like every time I go to a gig, I treat it like it's the last gig I have, and I understand that this gig is a reflection, especially if I haven't played with that person before, of like what my professionalism is, right? So showing up on time, knowing the music, understanding, all right, now we're at sound check, this is how we have to run sound check, these are the questions to ask, how should I be dressed? And also like treating people well, you know, which I think is honestly the most important thing, because as you know, we work in the arts and most of our time is spent in lobbies or at the airport or on the bus.
People's business, for sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's how I've been going about it, just, you know, walking with respect and making sure I deliver a product that I am proud of. Like as Maestro Ron Carter says, it's like doing a good job. Like, I'm going to work today, how am I gonna be good at my job today?
Yes. Are you ever worried, like, okay, this week I don't have gigs? It's like some months, right? We have more work than others. Is that ever, or have you been so busy because you're so good that you don't have to worry about it?
I think this past year has been one of those years where it's like, oh, I can't wait to not do work.
Okay, busy.
And also to have more discretion in the work that I take, because now that I'm getting older and now, you know, I have experience now. It's not like how it was like 2-3 years ago when I was getting out of school. I've gotten a lot of experience the past 3 years, so understanding my value, what I bring to the table, and how I want to be treated, and what I'm willing to accept and not accept and tolerate. So I think that has kind of been the lesson this past year.
Yeah, as you grow older, that makes sense. You also play a diversity, like you really love sometimes going out of the box, right, with playing different genres. Is that true? I read somewhere that you really love playing different genres. I'm sure there is a genre that you prefer. Tell us a little bit about your personal taste.
Yeah, I kind of mentioned Steve Wilson a little bit before, and I think he's a really great example of someone who has done kind of every type of music, and that when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's what I want to do. So one of my goals has been to be one of the most in-demand side people and play all types of music. So, you know, this past year has been, you know, Latin gigs. It's also been super straight ahead swing gigs, swing dancing gigs, R&B, you know, and then I also play like Avant Garde and free jazz as well. Like I kind of grew up playing that just along with learning how to play Duke Ellington. And I think it kind of just, again, falls under my love of diasporic music. Like all of that falls into the umbrella of Black music, right? Of Black American music, Black diasporic music. And if it's based into the categories of groove, swing, or storytelling, whether it's all three or one of the three, I'm pretty much sold. And I also just love playing the bass. I love the challenge of, oh, how can I fit in here? Can I make this sound like a band? And yeah.
You're so good at it. Can I see your fingers?
Oh.
So strong, yeah? Wow. Sometimes do you ever like bleed from playing so much?
You know, I practice enough so that doesn't happen.
Okay,
yeah.
So that's the trick, huh?
Yeah.
And you don't have to tape yourself or?
No, it's, you know, when you build up a practice routine, you get used to, your body gets used to it, like a certain amount of playing. The only time that's like really happened is if I have eczema, so I'd be a little ashy. So when you play your instrument dry, you can kind of create like a friction, which causes blisters. Or if you're playing like a bass that isn't yours, that's kind of set up a little rough, that can happen. But it's like,
so far, so good, huh?
yeah, it's like yoga. As long as you're doing your stretches, you're
as long
maintaining.
as you stretch, everybody, you got to
Yeah.
stretch. You got to do that, you know. I'd like to see maybe open the floor for some questions. We have an in-house audience as well. So is there any questions that you would like to ask Liany, Mateo? I can share my microphone, so stay there, Liany. Should I use this one? Yeah? Oh, this one? Oh, the wireless, of course. All right. All right, don't be shy, everybody. Any questions? So far, so good. We've covered a lot. I mean, she's only 25, so, you know, we have to do this when you're 30 or 35 again, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot more to say. We asked Liany also to bring her instrument, and maybe we'll inspire some questions after that. So what do you think? Would you guys like to hear her play something? Yes, of course. Everybody's clapping here. Everybody's ready. Okay. Yes, very nice. So what do you think will be good for us on November 6th to hear, Liany? What are you thinking?
Oh. One of my favorite compositions is by the great Abby Lincoln, and the song is called Throw It Away. I do not sing, but the lyrics I would love to share with you all today is throw it away. Could you actually repeat after me? Throw it away. Throw it away. Throw it away. Throw it away. Live your life. Give your love. Each and every day. And keep your hand wide open. Let the sun shine through. Because you could never lose a thing if it belongs to you. Throw it away. Throw it away, Abby Lincoln. So I'll play a little bass for y'all today. Thank you for listening to me talk.
So powerful. How are you guys feeling? Yeah? Do you have any questions for Liany Mateo? Last chance. Last chance. Well, I guess they're wordless today. They just, enchanted. That was beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you all for receiving my musical offering, and thank you all for being here today. The community is strong, And I'm happy to be here and happy that we're all here today. So thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. Stay tuned for more of Liany Mateo here with the National Jazz Museum of Harlem, and definitely follow the museum for all the amazing programming, the free public programming that is happening not only in person but also on the Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So follow us and connect. Once again, let's give Liany Mateo a big round of applause. That was wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And we look forward to having you back in 5 more years. Yeah, so we can celebrate you more. Thank you so much. My name is Talia Castro-Pozo, everyone. Have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you to our international friends and friends from New York and everywhere, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.
All right, thank you.
I'm going to ask for a photo with you.
Oh, yes.
I can't believe I started coughing when you're playing.
Oh, no. I didn't even
That's right. Isn't that a coincidence? Yeah, so we've been covering, he was here last week when we covered India Owens.
Oh, India, yes, yeah.
Yeah, another bass player. Exactly, yeah. I don't know, I think it's just a coincidence.
Well, no, we went to the same school.